Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to this week's edition of Ask Coach Marie. I'm Marie O'Neill, president of Padma Life Coaching, and your host on this series. This is the place where you ask a question, and I give you my unique opinion as a life renewal coach, astrologer, and past life regression facilitator. Each week, a new video is going to be released with me answering your questions, 2 questions from the viewers. And please remember, I am not a therapist, and I will never tell you what you must do. In addition to the 2 questions that I'll answer, I'll also talk about other topics, such as how the universe works, consciousness, healing, life renewal, topics that hopefully are of interest to you. So let's go ahead and get started with our first question. Now, our first question comes from Teal, who is in Ojai, California. Teal asks, how does one answer to the soul's quiet calling while the world is so loud? This is one of those questions, especially questions that come from people who are consciously working on healing their trauma, on hearing the soul's calling, what the soul wishes for it. And it's also one of those questions that I've heard asked a lot. I remember my Buddhist teacher years ago getting this question at one of the retreats I was participating in. And I remember his answer, which I actually incorporated into my own life. Because we are dealing with so much noise, it doesn't really matter where you are, you're going to have some noise. Even if you're walking in a park, it's not completely quiet because you have the animal noises, which usually we're fine with the animal noises. But when we're in the city or trying to meditate or get our work done, it can be a challenge. So, what I was told to do by one of my teachers, and what I have found that works, which the same thing, is taking the noise onto the path, utilizing the noise as a way to help you go deeper and hear the soul's call. Because remember, our world is really chaos. I mean, the world was born through the Big Bang, or at least that's what the scientists say. And that's a lot of noise. Our universe is filled with chaos. And we assume that when we are trying to listen to the soul, that we need to be quiet to do that. Well, actually, we don't have to be quiet to hear the soul's prompting. Sometimes it's easier, but for the most part, we don't need to be quiet to hear the soul's prompting. And so when there's noise outside, life in general is noisy, let's face it. We still have to find a way to turn inward, have that part of us that turns inward to hear the soul's prompting. Now, here's what I did, because I'm around a lot of noise too. I had to put myself in the position of being the observer of my life. And I'm not saying that I, disconnected myself from my life. I certainly haven't done that. But what I've done is before I go outside, before I engage with any part of the world, and of course, say my prayers in the morning, or, and ask for guidance. And I'm always, no matter who I'm talking to, no matter what I'm encountering in the world, I'm always paying attention to my emotions and how I feel. So your soul, or your higher mind, aka soul, speaks to you through your inner knowing, through your emotions. A lot of times with some people, well, I should say with some people, it's through the body that you hear the promptings of the soul. And so when you're out in the world and there's a lot of noise, chaos, you still have to have a little bit of distance from that noise, experiencing it, being in the present moment, but experiencing it from the point of view of the observer so that you can, and to be the observer, of course, that takes some practice. And it's not practice with sitting meditation, it's practice with being out in the world. And it takes a lot of time to cultivate that particular skill, but that is the way that I would do it. One other thing about noise, sometimes it is the soul's desire to be around noise and practice listening for the soul's prompting. I mean, what happens when you're at a concert and your friend is next to you and you're trying to hear your friend and you're listening to the concert? You tend to lean in and pay close attention to what your friend is saying. At the same time, concert is still going. You've just turned your attention to your friend who is right next to you. And that's pretty much what you have to do here. Now, with the soul, you never know when it's going to prompt you. And actually, a lot of times it's prompting you most of the time through your emotions, as I said. But anyway, that is my answer to how you hear the quiet calling of the soul with all the noise that is going on around you. Like I said, take the noise on the path, which brings me to a topic that I want to bring up, and it is the path. What is the path anyway? Now, my training in spirituality comes from various sources, from Native American tradition, Buddhist tradition, and also the Christian tradition. What I'm going to talk to you about is the Buddhist tradition, and it talks about, and this is true, the path is, you're on the path. That's number one. You cannot not be on the path. Whatever it is you're experiencing is a part of the path. So you don't need to worry about that. What you need to be concerned with is how you're responding to the stimulus that you're getting on the path. And where's this path taking you? Typically, in my understanding and my belief, what we're all working towards is to know ourselves. And to know ourselves is really to see ourselves as not separate from nature, not separate from the divine, not separate from our soul, and to see this reality as it really is. Once we accomplish that goal, then of course, that is a heck of a long way to achieving enlightenment. And enlightenment, that's interesting too, because it's enlightenment for our universe, not for other universes. So we figure out how the universe works and operates, and we heal our trauma, we work through any karma that we might have, and then we hopefully move on to someplace else. That's a story, or that's a conversation for another video. When I'm talking about the path, in Buddhism, it is meditation is really prominent and big, and it's also about study. It's about paying attention to your emotions, and it's also about you being the guru in your own life, and which is why I actually love studying Buddhism. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up. Now we have a second question, and our next question is, let's see, the next question is from Tony in Sebastopol, and he says, I'm falling for a special someone. Can we get a joint reading? Ah, yes. Hello, Tony. Thank you for this question. Yes, you can get a joint reading. What you would want to have is called synastry in astrology, and that's where your chart and the person you are interested in, what your charts would be compared to see how you would interact together. There is also another chart that would be utilized, and that's called a composite chart. In a composite chart, we combine the two charts and make one chart. So that would be a third chart. That's the energy that's actually running the relationship, as a matter of fact. When you're going to have a relationship chart done, it's best for both of you to be in the room, because there's that Q&A. Both of you need to be on the same page. If both of you are not going to be together, then you really do need to have permission from the other person to have their chart looked at. The astrologer typically will record the reading, and your mate can look at the reading later. I am a proponent of making sure that you have permission, which means that I need to actually talk to your mate if they're not going to be there, or at least have an email sent to me from them. The reason is karma. I am not a proponent of creating non-beneficial karma. It's going against another person's free will to read their chart without them being there. So yes, you can certainly have a relationship chart done, which is absolutely glorious. It's a good idea to do that when you first meet, or at least after you've had maybe, a month or two of getting to know each other, because then you have questions that you want answered. It also helps you to know how best to communicate, because we look at your chart and how you communicate. We look at the chart to see what the intention of the relationship is, what the chart says, or the energies of the chart says the intention of the relationship is. In addition to doing a relationship chart, it would also be a good idea for each of you to have a natal chart reading done separately, so that you get a firm handle on your goals and wishes. But you don't have to have a separate chart done. It is recommended though, but you don't have to. In any event, yes, you can certainly have a relationship chart done and reach out to an astrologer in your area, or you can always reach out to me, or like I said, one of the other astrologers. We'd be happy to do a relationship chart for you. Now, if you would like to learn more about my life and how I have traversed this journey, how I've worked on my own trauma and healed a lot of it, please get my book and the Lotus Opened, a memoir. You can find it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. I'll put a link to the website down below so that you can go to the website and learn more about it. If you have questions that you want me to answer, please send them to padmacoach@icloud.com. The link for that email will also be down below in the description area. And please like and subscribe to this YouTube station. I would love to be able to notify you when new videos are out. And once again, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this video. And you have a blessed day. I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.